So we want to talk to you guys today about a very simple concept called lead source resistance. Now, lead source resistance, or LSR, is a simple marketing strategy to execute. However, many real estate professionals struggle with the execution of LSR. So before we get too far into it, let's talk about what lead source resistance really is.
Well, just like it sounds, lead, as in a potential buyer, seller, or borrower, source, as in the source that drove the lead to you, and resistance, as in the measurement, like how much resistance there is between a real estate professional and the average lead.
So all three of these are important for various reasons. The obvious reason, and really the driving force as to why LSR is important, is the simple fact that everyone in the world is different. Their past experiences, their culture, their age, their upbringing, it all makes up you and I. And believe it or not, it all comes into play as we seek our next deal, or lead in this case.
Let's come back to that in a moment. For now, let's just concentrate on our lead. We'll call him Joe. Joe's driving around and looking at houses. He comes up to a house for sale and has a decision to make. The decision is how he's going to get info on that house. Joe could grab a flyer, he could scan a QR code, he could text a rider sign for info, or heck, he could even call a 1-800 number if provided. If he's really brave, he could call the broker's number listed on the sign. And finally, if the broker's really cool, he could download his app or even go to their Facebook fan page.
Joe weighs his options for a second, and again, depending on his personality, decides what source he would like to utilize in obtaining the info he needs. Now, Joe is a young first-time homebuyer, so he feels very comfortable scanning a QR code to get the information on the house. Joe's personality, knowledge, and comfort level weighed all the options available to him, and based off his resistance level to all these options, he chose the QR code. That, in a nutshell, is lead source resistance. And everyone, I mean everyone that has sat in front of a house for sale has dealt with lead source resistance.
They, and you for that matter, may not even know it, but it's an internal decision that's made on each and every transaction. Now, this is the important thing about lead source resistance. When you limit the variables for Joe, Joe gets uncomfortable. And Joe may not like the options available and decide to move on and never give you the time of day.
For example, let's remove some of our variables. Let's take out all the options except for the sign in the yard with the broker's phone number. Let's take them all out of the equation. Well, now, Joe, being a young first-time homebuyer, doesn't feel so comfortable with the traditional home selling methods. He doesn't want to talk to anyone because his generation shops online and hates having to deal with real-life people during the buying process.
Joe can't help it. Society shaped him this way. And because we can't meet Joe where Joe wants to be met, he moves on.
Or in other words, because of Joe's resistance levels in dealing with real-life people, Joe moves on and we lose a lead. Had we understood LSR, we would have understood the importance of having several options available.
Now, for the most part, the lead source resistance levels are as follows, starting with the least resistant to the most resistant. First, a flyer, then a QR code, a rider sign with text information, a rider sign with an 800 number, a rider with a broker phone number, a broker personal app, and finally, a broker's fan page.
Now again, having all these options available for your leads, it's very important. Now, the resistance levels, they're going to change with each and every client, but the important thing here is that we try and meet every lead where they want to be met, whether it's on the phone, the internet, or a good old flyer. Everyone is different, and if you want to increase your leads, you need to make sure that you have every option available.
Our leads aren't always young and hip Joes. Sometimes they're older, shall we say, more seasoned leads like Gertrude here. And you know Gertrude hates all those gadgety things. She just likes to pick up the good old phone.
And Gertrude's important, and we need to make sure that we meet Gertrude where she wants to be met, just like Joe. Both leads are very important, which makes lead source resistance very, very important. You need to learn it, understand it, and master it moving forward. Your wallet will thank you later.